Todicheene was born in 1829. He is Eleanor and Coco Todiceene's final child. Doke was only 9 years old when his father was killed. Since he was asleep during the events, he was the last one to hear about it. He was devastated. Unlike his older siblings, he didn't get to grow up with his father around. While Doke was lucky to have his mother and other parental figures, he still missed his father. As the years passed, Doke had gained his own independence. He helped around the house as much as he could. He and his nephew Chaska were close. Chaska was like a little brother. Doke helped him practice horse riding. They practiced every day. Their stories by the fire had become more popular with their growing family. They gathered for stories every week. For every gathering, his mother cooked something special for everyone to eat. His favorite treat was her jars of jam. It inspired him to make a drinkable version. Eleanor helped with the recipe. When it was finally done, she was the first to try. Everyone loved how smooth it tasted. So Doke made more with different fruits. Eleanor was always the first to try. She was his biggest fan. She told him to start selling the drinks, but he wanted to keep it within the family. In 1848, they experienced a harsh winter. Eleanor had gotten sick and could not recover. She died that year. After her funeral, Doke decided to fulfill her wishes and start selling his drinks. He didn't sell much at first, but people were soon lining up to get a bottle. As soon as he got home, he made more to sell the next day. Eventually, his sales had him coming home with heavy pockets. At family gatherings, he would serve his best. They also loved hearing how he got the idea to do it all. With his booming business, Doke had become quite popular in town. A young woman had caught his eye. Her name was Marisol. She was his first love. At just 19, Doke had everything he could ask for. He was able to provide for his family and still have money left over for himself. One day while he was out, a man named Roberto promised him that he could make his business even greater. Doke liked the idea of his business being more known and agreed. He happily signed the contract. All he had to do was make the drinks and Roberto would do the rest. Doke was able to do that, but he wasn't receiving any money for it. He was able to find the man in town and ask where his money was. Roberto laughed and told him that wasn't in the contract. He explained that his entire business now belonged to him. Since Doke signed the contract, he was obligated to work for him without pay. Doke couldn't believe what he was hearing. He went home in tears and told his sister about his mistake. Muriel comforted him and assured him that everything would be okay. That Doke was more concerned about losing his business than the money. The whole reason he made it public was to honor his mother. Now it was gone. He stayed in his room for days, sulking in regret. During this time, Marisol had suddenly moved away with her family. She didn't even get to tell him goodbye. His siblings came over to make him feel better. They all assured him about his mistake. His brother Ona had also given him an idea. Doke decided to continue working for Roberto and made more drinks. No one knew his recipe, so it would be impossible to recreate it elsewhere. As usual, Doke gave Roberto the product to sell, but the people didn't seem interested in the drinks anymore. Everyone said it had a bad aftertaste. The man was so embarrassed to own such thing that he destroyed the contract. Everything was once again in Dacha's name. He decided it would be best to keep the drinks within the family. Perhaps in the future he'll sell it again. For now, he was happy again. In 1855, he was married. The woman's name was Esmeralda. Doke loved her more than anything. They had 3 children together. A little girl they named Marisol, after his first love in 1857. Felipe, who was born in 1859. Then Javier. He was born in 1861. They stayed at his family's house with his sister and her family. There he lived happily for the rest of his days.